Welcome to Cultivated Live for Monday, March 4th, 2024. I am Jay Rosenthal. I'm the co-founder of Cultivated Media and the host of Cultivated Live. And since we launched Cultivated, our goal has been to be reader first, providing the cannabis industry with the most important, insightful, and useful information to our audience. And until last week, it was almost entirely through our daily newsletter, which is called Cultivated Daily. And we really want you to go subscribe to that, and we'll put a link in the show notes how to do that. We also want to meet the industry where it is, and many of you are certainly on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and that is where we stream this daily show too. And here's what we do on this daily live stream. We'll recap the most pressing news of the day from our newsletter with our guest, and then we'll jump into a conversation with said guest. And today we're joined by the founder and CEO of Weedgets, Michael Barenboym. Michael, welcome.
Thank you very much, Jay, for having me. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to share some interesting thoughts with your audience and with you. And happy Monday.
I can't wait. And prior to pressing live, we shared that we actually have some other things in common. Boston area and hockey. Those two things I like talking about a lot. So welcome to the show. I don't know if we'll get to hockey or Boston anytime soon, but let's get to the news of the day. You ready?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Here's what's driving the news today. A New Jersey lawmaker introduced a bill that would allow police in New Jersey to draw the blood of drivers they believe are impaired from cannabis. This is in a story in the New Jersey Monitor. Now, the bill's author introduced a similar bill last year, but it never even received a committee hearing. Now, the bill would allow police to draw drivers' blood if they expect cannabis impairment, much like the implied consent drivers give to submit to a breathalyzer test if officers suspect a person is driving under the influence of alcohol. And now, with legalization on the march in the US, there's a push to identify ways to determine if people are indeed under the influence of cannabis and driving. But most scientists say blood tests aren't a reliable way to measure acute impairment, since THC can stay in a person's system for weeks and not necessarily have that person be impaired. Now, blood tests only measure the amount of cannabis in a driver's system, again, but don't necessarily measure impairment. And unlike breathalyzers, there's no national standard for how much THC in the bloodstream constitutes impairment. In fact, in different states, that number varies pretty widely. So there's no reliable, standardized way for police to determine whether or not a driver is impaired. And the fact that a blood test don't actually test impairment has the ACLU in New Jersey against this bill. Specifically, Alex Shalom, an attorney for the ACLU there, said it forces the police to get the approval of a judge, and this is with other blood tests, before they invade a person's bodily autonomy. That is both consistent with the Constitution and consistent with our values that say before the government can stick a needle in your arm, they better have an awfully good reason. And his point was that this bill in New Jersey doesn't even call for that. You don't need a judge's consent to actually get it. So we will see if this bill moves forward in New Jersey or dies another death. But a standardized way to test and measure cannabis impairment is something that nearly all jurisdictions are struggling with. So expect more legal markets to debate this issue further. And as we covered in Cultivated, a number of startups are working on the issue of how to measure cannabis impairment, both for commercial purposes as well as road safety. We'll put a link to Impairment Science's pitch deck, which we covered a few weeks ago. And what else is happening? There's a bit of new research. A new study in the Journal of Current Alzheimer's Research suggests that cannabis consumers have, and this is a quote, significantly decreased odds of cognitive decline. That's good news. Though the study is broadly observational and far from conclusive. And this is sort of a companion piece to last week when the American Heart Association came out with their research saying that it had impacts on the heart and health. So with that, we'll close up our news and get to Michael. Michael, give us a bit of the background on Weedgets, and maybe before we even get to that, give us your background and sort of how you came to this.
Yeah, well, I've spent my entire career in the medical device engineering and development field, and this is my main company, where we design and develop medical life-saving technologies for bigger companies, bigger groups like Johnson & Johnson, Boston Scientific, and a lot of other bigger Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies. So I probably have over 100 patents in various medical devices, including artificial heart systems. I've done a lot of work in cardiovascular devices, implantable cardiovascular devices. I've done a lot of work in pulmonary devices, a lot of surgical instrumentation, cancer ablation systems, automated resuscitation machines. The list goes on. If you Google my name, you'll find a lot of different interesting technologies that I have helped to develop for bigger groups and bigger companies. I also co-founded a couple of other medical device companies. One of them is public now. So to sum it up, I'm a biomedical mechanical engineer with extensive experience in medical device life-saving technologies. And Weedgets is kind of a logical continuation to what we're doing, because we are the only company, and when I formed this company, my only focus was how can we make the product safer and a lot more pleasant for people to consume. Meaning that we are the only company that's focusing primarily on making smoke safer through our proprietary technology that cools and filters the smoke. So, it all starts with one simple question. For every human being, what is the most important thing for you as a human being? It's obviously health. There's nothing more important than your own health. It cannot be. So, if because I'm a vivid smoker myself, I smoke every day, and my kids actually started smoking earlier, just like a lot of kids in high schools. And instead of prohibiting them from smoking, because I know prohibition doesn't work, I decided to do something better. I decided to do much safer devices. I introduced filtration. I introduced smoke cooling, and as a result, I started giving out those little things to people that you plug in into your joint, and it provides additional filtration. The problem is so big that people called it different names, like Scooby snacks. This is something that you get in your mouth. It burns your throat. It's very hot. And then for days you cannot smoke because the smoke is very harsh. Your throat hurts. So what we did is we introduced the simple filtration for joints by plugging in a simple medical silicone component with a metal screen inside that blocks all those big particles. And all of a sudden, we've sold over 300,000 packs on Amazon, when we used to sell on Amazon a few years back. And people started loving it so much that they don't just put the 5-star rating. They will write essays and emails saying, where have you been all my life? Because this is a game changer, because by a simple inexpensive device, by plugging it into your joint, or one heaters, or small chillums, or small pipes, or even bigger pipes, we have different sizes, all of a sudden you minimize coughing, you drastically reduce the temperature of the smoke, so you cough a lot less, and it's actually better for your lungs, because the reason why we cough is not even because how dirty the smoke is, it's because the temperature of the smoke. So when the hot temperature gets inside your lungs and your trachea and your pathways don't really like it, so they try to exhale as fast as possible. That's why we cough.
It sounds like you're describing me smoking a joint, but well, without this. But talk to me about. I know it's proprietary technology, but how does it actually work? I think filter. I think most people get, but how does it cool the smoke in this context?
Actually, it's a very, very interesting design, because we cool and we filter the smoke without any filters and without any specialty filters. Basically, we use physics for that, because if you take a short pipe and then you take a longer pipe, guess which pipe is safer for you? Obviously, it's the one that's much longer, because what happens with gas, which smoke is, it's gas, the longer it travels, the more time it has to cool. And all you need is actually just few degrees. So when we smoke small pipes, direct flow pipes that goes directly from the burning 1300 Fahrenheit burning bowl into your lungs, you inhale at the temperature about 250 degrees, 300 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the hot oven temperature. That's why people cough. When people smoke our pipes, the temperature goes down to about 100, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a temperature of a hot summer day. And the way we do it is we pass the smoke through our elaborate maze, where the smoke constantly changes the direction, and it takes, instead of 1.5 inches direct distance, it travels about 14 inches. The pipe is small, but the smoke travels through this elaborate maze back and forth, losing the velocity. And as the velocity is lost, the heavier particles like resin, tar, they fall down. So when people smoke our famous Maze X pipe, they will see in about a week that so much gunk is collected inside this pipe, which is easy to disassemble and wash, because we pay attention to every little detail. The usability, because usability is very important for people. How easy it is to use, how easy it is to disassemble, how easy it is to clean. Cleaning is very, very important. So in a medical device world, the way we approach the problem is we don't just sit and think, what can we do to make it better? We actually attack problems. And cleanability is a big problem because who likes washing their glass pipes and they have to shake it inside? All these internal surfaces are very, very difficult to wash. With our pipes, it disassembles within few seconds into components with all external surfaces. And it's easy to wash an isopropyl alcohol. But most importantly, we are the only company that have medically inclined pipes. We have customers who have COPD, congestive obstructive pulmonary disease. We have customers who have emphysema and other pulmonary diseases that don't allow them to inhale harsh smoke, and they all love our products. If you go to our website, or for that matter, on any websites that we sell through our resellers, you will find thousands of different reviews and people just writing essays. One guy wrote that the smoke is so smooth that I can't even feel the smoke going inside your lungs. Well, and that's for me because I'd like to inhale until I feel that it's too harsh.
Right.
So
let me ask you a question. Like, how does it impact the effect? I mean, I know a lot of people are interested in the actual temperature which the cannabis burns, but does that effect change if it goes through a 14-inch within a pipe sort of maze?
As a matter of fact, it actually makes it a little bit better because people are starting to feel the taste of terpenes. Because compared to the hot food, if you have a very delicious food, but it's very hot on your plate and you immediately start eating it, what will you feel the taste of that food? Obviously not, because you're burning your tongue, you're burning your little
taste buds. Yeah.
Right, so you can't feel the taste. So when you lower the temperature of the smoke, all of a sudden, and when you clean the smoke, so your brain is not focused on what can I do to prevent that last cherry hitting the back of my throat. Instead of thinking about that, because you feel that your smoke is very smooth, you start feeling the taste of terpenes differently. And a lot of reports that we have based on our reviews for our products from our customers, they say that it tastes different. That's why at one point we actually had a saying that taste the difference, because it's much different. So that's what.
And if I'm I am a consumer, I go to Weedgets, WEDGETS.com, and I order direct. It's are there retailers that have it, or I order direct from you? What's the process of getting it?
Primarily online retail store. People buy directly from us. We ship worldwide. We have customers all over the world, including New Zealand, Australia, even Asia. We have European market. And we ship direct. We ship to Canada, of course, but we don't chase small smoke shops because when people come to us, they have an opportunity to read about what the product does. We have a different value proposition. When you go to a smoke shop, you cannot see the difference by just simply looking at the product. But when you read about the technology, and it's a simple technology. But in addition to this technology, we just introduced our own charcoal filters. And I invite you to look at our charcoal filters as well, because you can use them to roll your joints. You can use them in your pipes. You can use them in any our pipes, and they actually add additional filtration. You cannot filter THC in the smoke by simply filtering the tar and resin, because if I could, I would probably get a Nobel Prize. But you need a chemical filtration to do that. Our only focus is how do we make it not only safer, but a lot more pleasant for people to inhale. And I think we've achieved that. And I think our pipes are gaining popularity around the world simply for that reason, because it combines a lot of features that people love.
Yeah. And we'll put a link about how to obviously find them, learn about them, get in touch with you, get in touch with Weedgets. I really appreciate the time and sort of hearing both your story, but also the story of the product and the technology, which I think a lot of people that follow what we do are, let's call them cannabis nerds, and really want to get into not just the 101 level information, but 201 and 301. So you provided that here today, and we'll put a link about how to get in touch with you, with the company, to learn more, and even order one for themselves if they want to test it out. So I appreciate you giving us time today. And that's it for today's Cultivated Daily. As we like to say, we like to keep it short to get people on with their busy days. And we encourage you to subscribe to our daily newsletter at cultivated.news. It's right here. Follow us on LinkedIn, or this is what the kids make me say, smash the subscribe button on YouTube. And we'll be back here actually tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern with Brad Spearson of Grown In, who's my co-host on Tuesdays, where we have United States of Cannabis, where we dive deep into different jurisdictions and their legalization journey. And tomorrow, we have 2 members of the New Hampshire House of Representatives who are driving legalization in that state. You will not want to miss it. So make sure to join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you back tomorrow. Michael from Weedgets, thanks so much for joining us again.
My pleasure. Thank you.